Hi everyone, welcome back to my horse tutorials. Happy you're here and glad that you are watching and hopefully learning and creating your own. So I am Brian, if you don't know, from Oakville Wreaths and Decor, and you can find me on Etsy and Facebook, TikTok, all the social medias, if you just search Oakville Wreaths. Or if you're looking for any other videos on YouTube, search hashtag Make It Like Brian, and you should be able to find them. So today I'm going to show you how I'm going to make a patriotic horse. So today I'm going to use jute poly mesh, if you can see that. I also might use this fun rustic patriotic pick. Probably using these super fun mini little patriotic florals. I think I'm gonna add some fun stars to this horse, which I'll show you. I just ended up stapling the pipe cleaner to secure them onto the back of the star. These are super cute. And then I'm gonna use maybe some rustic patriotic ribbon, and then just probably a little bit of this fun little glitter star ribbon. And then this came from the Dollar Tree, I think the nautical section. I believe this is what I'm gonna end up making the bridle for the horse out of today. So we're gonna kind of keep to the theme of rustic patriotic. So let's get started. So again, I'm gonna use fabric mesh to create this horse, and so I'm just taking the end of it, going in a couple inches, and just doing a scrunch to start. And then I'm going to attach it to the board, the bottom. This horse, I think I'm gonna use the bottom to the outside to start this one instead of going on the top two holes. So then remember, with fabric mesh horses, I do a scrunch or a poof, and I don't make them very big, but I bring the outside edges together, usually like 3 or 4 inches. I measure and then kind of scrunch, push it back to where I'm going to put in my pipe cleaner. Or my zip tie, I should say. Sorry about that. And I like to try to match the zip ties as close to the color of the mesh, just so that it blends in. I'm gonna then again take some, I'm gonna push it back so I make my poof. I'm just gonna get several zip ties put in. And remember, your poofs don't have to be exactly even or all the same size. It adds a little dimension and some texture to your horses. You can make them smaller, you can make them bigger. is why I don't usually put too many zip ties in it. It always seems to get caught in my mesh. And I would love to know if any of you have tried the to make your own horses yet. And if you have, I would love to see some pictures of them. So you can find me on Facebook or Instagram and send a picture to Oakvale Wreaths, because I would love to see them. I'd love to see some of your fun creations. So now that we've got our first row done, I'm going to bring my mesh around to the other side of the horse. And I'm going to just come and I'm going to keep it kind of tight, going into the shared hole that I just used and up to the next row. So my goal for this horse is I want to create a little bit more of a refined neck. So I'm not going to make my poofs. I want to keep them tight to the board as I go up so that it's a little bit narrower neck. Again, I just keep going to the next set of holes. Make sure that my ends are together. And keep poofing away. I'm going to clip some of these off. They're long and they kind of get in the way. Always making sure I just fold my ends together, the edges, so it keeps it a pretty clean look. One more set of holes before I get to the end. And again, I'm going to take my mesh, roll it out a little bit, roll it across. Now again, at the bottom of the horse's neck, these will be a little bit bigger poofs, and they'll get smaller and a little tighter to the horse's neck, so it's a little bit more refined as I get up to the top. Now, I am at the second set of holes up, and now these are going to be at a little bit of an angle. They're not straight up and down, if you can see that on the board. So I go on the angle holes now for going across on this row. And then that's nice to do that a little bit different, have a little variation in the pattern a little bit, because you can make them just a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, and again adds some different texture. A little different style of poof. And we are now starting to close into the end of the row again. A couple more poofs. Now this, you can see there's no hole to go on an angle, so what I'm going to end up doing is going from the second hole in over to the outside hole. And then for coverage, I'm actually going to make one more. I'm going to use the hole, the next hole over, the shared hole, and I'm going to make a fairly tight poof, and this is going to go in. I'm using the same hole that I just did the other poof in. Up one. So I'm working on coverage of the board, but also again keeping in mind that I want it a little tighter over here on the neck. So now I'm just taking my roll back across. This will be my third time going in to that third roll hole there right at the edge. Before I tighten it, I'm just kind of getting it poofed up a little bit so that it stays where I want it. And then just continue working shared hole to the next hole up across this row. Like we have been doing. And we are just continuing across the board, making row after row of poofs. And here we go with our second roll of mesh. Well, I'm going to do the same thing. Just give it a little bit of a tail to tuck in. Scrunch it up. And then I'm going to start in the same holes that I ended. I can get this. So then I'm just going to trim a little bit of these ends off and then do the same thing. I'm going to just tuck the end into the poof just below it, spread it out a little bit so it's all hidden, and then continue on. Across the board. And it would help if I would put the zip ties in the right way. think one more poof. This one is gonna go in the same hole I just used, and then to the single outside hole, so it's at a little bit of an angle, and I can get a poof in here before I change directions. Now this one, because there's a large area here on the board, if you can see where I don't want my poof to come all the way over. So what I'm gonna do is use that single hole again and go to the outside of the board to make a pretty tight poof so it covers the board and continues to follow the neck. Before then I move across. So I think a lot of times you have to think about that you don't have to be exact. You can, you just use the holes that are available and try to kind of figure out how the best coverage works for you. And play around with different techniques. Here we are again, the last two holes before I'm at the edge of the neck. Sure, So now I'm trying to figure out, I think I want to do one more. Again, the shared hole that I just used, and then I'm gonna do to the outside of the board so that it covers that space. And that way I can bring this around pretty tight to, I don't have to worry about coverage, so I can keep it in a little bit more to the horse's neck. Now I'm on row 6. And bringing my mesh back around, which again, I'm going to use the shared hole here to the outside of the horse's neck. I'm going to keep it tight and keep it, again, following the shape that I want. And then, again, this is a row that we're going to use the shared hole, and then it's back to using the hole on a little bit of an angle, because they're not straight up and down from each other. So that would be the top of row 6 into the bottom of row 7. So once again, now we have reached the end where I'm coming into the lower part of the horse's head. So I'm going to use the holes, the first holes you come to here and to the outside of the board, and kind of make small, tight poofs, again, to keep some definition in the horse's head and to not let it be too bulky. And then that gets the bottom of our board covered as best as we can. Again, and just keep making sure that you keep your edges of your mesh together. So that they are in the inside of your poof. Now I'm at the very end where the horse's nose is, so I'm gonna do one more poof with the last hole to the outside of the board. Bring my mesh around. And then I'm gonna keep my horse's nose the poof's fairly small and tight so that it doesn't get too bulky. So now I have my white fabric mesh, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to leave a couple inches, and I'm going to scrunch it up tight. And what I'm going to do is, looks like I want to start probably in I want to get as tight in here as I can. So I'm gonna go and find, sorry about that if you hear my dogs running away. So I'm just finding a hole where it's gonna hide the tail the best. So I'm kind of just manipulating it down in there. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to, actually, so the one right below it, I'm going to tuck it into, because I think that will work the best. Just going to snip some of these frayed ends off. Now again, I'm going to do the same poof style. I'm just taking the mesh and working it so that the edges are together. And then I'm holding it and I'm going to go to the next set of holes that I can work with. That I've left open. And you can make so many different, shapes, or you can, if you want it to be a bigger white area for their markings, you can do that. And then I'm going to go and use these two shared holes. And I'm just working my way down so that I cover the board that is still uncovered. So this is a hole I haven't used, and I'm going to the outside. And I'm keeping it small because I know this is the last one I'm going to do here before I come back around and come back up the horse. And then this time I've gone twice into this hole, so I'm just gonna go use that hole, come to the outside again, kind of positioning it how I want it so it covers but still keeps the shape of the horse's head and doesn't get too out of whack. Now as I come around, I'm using two holes, not around the outside. I'm using two holes that are just there. And I'm making a small poof, and then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna use one hole that I used right below the front of the ear, and I do think that this one is going to go to the outside of the board because I want to make one more turn. One more turn back to finish covering the board. Again, using a shared hole to the outside. And then I'm just kind of manipulating how I want that poof to look. I don't want it to be too big. I want it to be kind of, again, following the horse's head. And then I'm going to cut and tuck again, figure out where I want to, which might be just in this top poof here. I'm gonna snip all these off, and then just kind of maneuver my little white marking around a bit. And remember, our forelock is going to come down here, so it does hide a lot of the zip ties. So that's how I add a marking, and you could, you could continue down the whole nose. You could make it wider, just depending on what look you're going for. So now we're going to work on the ear. So I've got, usually I have enough that 2 rolls of mesh will do 1 horse, and then I have enough where I can do the ear. Normally I am cutting about, I'm actually going to do this one at 10 inches. And then I'm going to cut 1 more piece. At 10 inches as well. Because what I'm going to do for this ear is sometimes this, I'm going to double up my mesh to make the ear so that it's not as see-through. So I just kind of lay them on top of each other. I'm going to position them how I want. And then when I make my ear, I keep the factory edge to my right and to my left because I fold the top down maybe a little bit over halfway down the 10 inches. And then I'm going to fold the other end over about the same length. Kind of so I have a point here, and I pull this middle down, and then the sides I pull down so that it's pretty tight, and then I work on holding it flat with my hand. And getting the shape that I want. So you see there's the ear, it's got a little cutout in it. So what I end up doing is I kind of manipulate and push it how I want it so that it's cupped going the direction that I'm going to put it on, that the horse is looking. And as I put it on, there's the 2 ear holes. I generally leave the top ear hole open, and I don't use it. I use the second ear hole down, and I usually go to the next one down that's a little bit angled from, and then I have my ear. And then I get, if you've watched my other tutorials, I want the ear pointing, looking the direction that the horse is going, or looking itself, not too far up. But I want it to have kind of an expression of that and I don't cut my tail until I see how big I want my ear to come out to balance proportionally with the horse's head. So I like where that's at now, so I am going to tighten that and then keep that little cup, and I'm going to cut the rest of the tail off, and then the tail just ends up getting tucked into a poof to hide it. And there we have our horse. If you can see. Now we get to do the fun thing and decorate, work with its mane and the bridle, and all the fun decorations. So as designing and creating goes, I had wanted to look at kind of what my design was going to look like before I videoed it, and I was not happy with the stuff and the choices of florals that I picked. So I have totally changed gears. I still plan on using the rustic stars, and I will show you, but I thought that these really pretty florals, I'm not even sure what they are, in the red, in a whitey cream color, and then the blue would look much better. So I cut them apart and I created pre-made little bundles that I'm going to show you how I'm going to attach into the horse. And then I am actually going to use just a simple brown ribbon for the halter, because I don't want the halter or the bridle to take away from the other things on this design. So I decided to kind of keep it, to think about having it blend in instead of stand out. So, so the first thing we're going to do is, with the bundles of flowers that I made, the red, my red is going to go in the top. So I'm going in between the two stem branches on this top one and getting it tight to the outside of the neck. And then I'll see, once I get all of them in, if they need another zip tie to hold them in place. And then I made another bundle with the white, and I'm gonna go underneath so that they overlap on that. And I think that's where I'm going to put it. So now I've gotta find another. I'm gonna go again in between the stems so that they stay secure. And then I'm gonna just cut off a little bit of the excess stem that I don't need poking out of there. And then I'm gonna finish with my blue stem. And I'm gonna let the blue drape down a little bit off from the horse's neck. Again, going in between my little bundle and wanting to find a hole that will work. And I think one more, I'm gonna put one more zip tie in at the base of this one once I get it. I'm gonna intermingle some of the flowers and the leaves and try to hide my zip tie as much as possible. This one I don't think I want pressing. I want it to stay on top, so I'm going to probably not zip tie it as tight as the other ones. So I'm liking that so far. And then I'm gonna I like the red at the top. So I used one of a smaller stem of the red flower that I'm going to figure out how I want to attach. I think this one I'm gonna, again, use the holes that I used for the ear. To go in on this one. So now before I do anything else and kind of maneuver and fix, I thought it would look kind of cool to put a star. I'm going to put this, this rustic star up right at the base of the horse's ear. So what I'm doing, again, I don't like these zip ties, this particular brand, because some of them break. So I know I want the star to kind of go the in between the horse's head or the ear, how I kind of want it set up. So I've got my two pipe cleaner, or my one pipe cleaner that I used, and I'm just finding holes that will work where I can then attach the star where I want it. Just twist it on the back. I'll go. I will work on and again, the nice thing about using wired stuff is you can kind of manipulate it where you want it to go. And I then thought I wanted to put the white and the blue star kind of down here, so it kind of carries through with the whole theme. So again, just finding holes that will work for where I want to place them. And then tighten them on the back side. And then I think I want this down at the edge of the horse's neck. And again, just making sure I get it really tight. Fun. So now, again, like I said, I want to do the, I did not want the bridle, the halter to stand out. I just kind of wanted it to blend in this particular horse. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and place it where I want it and use my staple gun to staple into the back. Kind of measure and cut. And again, I just angle it ever so slightly. I don't want it super tight. Just so it's over to the next row. Kind of goes with the horse's nose. And then I'm going to, and once again, I always forget to turn my glue gun on. So I'm putting this there, having enough that I'm going to be able to glue it when I get my glue gun turned on. Just gonna, and then I'm gonna go underneath the star to the back of the horse's ear. You don't want to pull it that tight. That should work. And then I'm going to lift up my horse and staple that. And then my last is going to be from going underneath the floral there right in front of the horse's ear. So again, I'm gonna have to go underneath the star, underneath the floral, and I'm gonna staple it right at the front of the horse's ear. Do my eye measurement, what I think is gonna work. And then I go and I kind of maneuver it right into the crook of the neck and where the head meets, so it doesn't protrude out. And then when I get it where I want it, then I'm going to go and staple it. I will glue that later, but just know that I just put a little dab of hot glue on that horse. Now, I think I am pretty happy with how this turned out. I really like these florals, the tones of them. They kind of went with the whole rustic patriotic that I was gonna go for, and I'm not sure that I even want a bow. I was thinking about maybe putting a bow, but I think that's just gonna be too much up by the horse's head. You know, we can always add one later, but let me know what you think. I will flip my camera around and give you a view of this so you can see the whole thing. Thanks for watching. So here is our finished rustic patriotic horse that we did. I'll let you see. I like the colors with the poly jute burlap mesh. I think it turned out really pretty. I love the red, white, and blue flowers that kind of just drape down for the mane. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I look forward to doing more for you. Thanks again.